some of the time that I'm spending in this is in just curiosity. And my
And
curiosity,
curiosity is the same thing as interest. Aren't you allowed?
well, I like it. And so I thought since I was here with you, I could ask something I've been really curious about. Are you, what comes through Esther, a specific stream of energy of that, which I
More
think of as
specific
God?
today than it's ever been because of the uniqueness of the group that is gathering, that is summoning it. In the moment, in the moment, in the moment, in the moment.
Is there more when we hear directly, is that the same tapping?
Before you go further, and we're happy to answer anything that you're asking here, but before you go further, see if you can find the feeling point of this. In other words, what is the emotional? Before this question, there was maybe a conversation, and before the conversation, there was an emotion. What's the emotion? What is it that is at the basis of this question? Am I worthy?
I want to know what God is.
God is the culmination of all that you are. Nothing more, nothing less.
So I can talk directly, access that directly.
Of course, but let's define what that is. This is what we were talking about earlier, that everybody has a different perspective of what it is they're talking about. So we'll tell you what we mean when you say that. What we mean when you say that is that you are as God as it gets. You are the manifestation of that which God intends and focuses upon. You are an extension of that. And in any moment, you can tell by the way you feel how much of that which you are allowing to be present in any moment. Most humans don't let much of that in moment by moment because you've been fed such a bill of goods about what that means. God wants you to do that and not that and that and not that and that and not that and that and not that. And so many people are there all over the place, and rarely, once they come of any age at all, are they in that place of just knowing that they are loved and expecting things to go well. It's something that you have to feel your way to. Oh, you know it when it's happening. So cliche, it's everywhere, it's all of you. But if you don't know it, then that's just so many words. But when you have had an interest in something and stayed focused and the interest got a little bigger, and then you began articulating it, and then something manifested that supported it exactly, for that moment you feel blessed. You feel like the receiver of that which you're asking for. But until you figure out how to maneuver yourself through thoughts by paying attention to the way you feel into those deliberate moments in time, then it's just somebody else assigning to you whether you should feel worthy or whether you shouldn't. More cliches is an inside job. There are so many things that you know, but you just have to show yourself by intending something. Esther sat on the airplane yesterday, and she flew Southwest. It was a direct flight, and direct is always her first choice. She likes that the most. So she's sitting there, and there's an empty seat sitting next to her. And she said to the woman there, they said the plane isn't full, so maybe we'll get lucky. And what Esther meant by get lucky is nothing annoying will happen between us. And the woman just looked at her like, I see your mouth moving, but can't you see I have my iPods in and I can't hear anything you're saying? So she's just smiling and nodding at Esther, and Esther is thinking, so much of the world is like that. We think everybody's listening to us when really they're not really listening to us. They really don't care what we're saying. And so Esther was just having a little fun with herself. And then a beautiful girl is coming down the aisle, and she said, is that seat taken? And Esther said, no. Would you like to sit here? She had a bag, and Esther said, you want to find a place for your bag first, because there was no place for it here. And she started to put it back a little further, and Esther said, how about that spot right there? I bet you can get it in that spot right there. Then you won't have to be upstream. And when Esther said upstream, she thought, I hear that voice. And she's here today. She was on her way here. She lives in San Antonio. So those things make Esther feel blessed. Then there was a baby sitting right in front of Esther, having a hard time crying. And Esther said to her new friend, for a long time I carried a stuffed animal in my purse just in case something like that would happen where I could soothe someone. She pulls a stuffed animal out of her purse. Now, Esther's thinking how really good the law of attraction is, how many details the law of attraction can take care of all at the same time, how truly blessed everyone is. Esther said, this is a needle in the haystack kind of thing. In other words, the law of attraction finds those everywhere. And then Esther was thinking, a few minutes ago, someone had something that they pulled out of a bag, and it looked like the same colors of one of Esther's books. And Esther thought, I thought that was one of our books. And then she got her book out of her bag. And Esther thought, I never see our books on airplanes. But she had the thought, and then there was the book. In other words, this sounds simplistic maybe, but what we want you to understand is all of the planning and all of the impulses and all of the that went in for these two to get to rendezvous and have such a good time together. She lives in San Antonio and is coming here today. Don't you think that's nice? And doesn't seem like anything really big, does it? In other words, most would call it a coincidence. We would call it deliberate creation on both of their parts. We would call it vibrational matching. We would call it the way the universe works. We would call it the water coming to a boil. We would call it inevitable. We would call it impossible for it not to happen because that's how it works, you say. Yeah.
I hear you now. Thank you. I needed to hear it again. That it's just my remembering all those little reminders, just like those that you described.
It isn't that.
That
It isn't
feels
remembering all the
good.
stuff that we've ever said
I
before.
mean in the moment when I'm having the experiences like what you're talking about, that's when I feel the best.
What you want to do is when you're tending to your point of attraction, what that means is I feel good. Good for me. I don't feel so good. How can I feel better? That's tending to your point of attraction. Giving yourself permission to feel good and then going after it till you do. Now. Much of the world would say, oh, that is really, really selfish. That's not compassionate. We say it's the ultimate compassion. That's what Source does. Source looks at you and knows everything about you and doesn't dip emotionally no matter what you've got going on. That's compassion. That's Source flowing all over you so that if you meet it just a little bit, something good's going to happen right now. But you got to show yourself that that's where you are. Source is always right there. Source never deviates. Source never deviates. So when you say, I wonder if I'm not good enough, or if I forgot something, or if I'm not applying it right, or if I'm doing something wrong, or it's just not in the moment doing the simplest of thing of wanting to feel good and finding a reason to do it. And the more you do it, the easier it gets.
And in the car on the way, I heard your voice say, I'll call you in a second. And that's exactly what always makes me feel good. And thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. Really good. Really good.